All right, what's up? What's up? All right, I gotta try and do this quick because I gotta start working soon. Oh my gosh. Sorry, the mic stand is like half an hour. All right, all right. I think we're ready to do this. All right, so right here we got a video by Michael Burns. He's a noted left-wing philosopher. I think his position is dialectical Marxism. I may be incorrect about that. I've checked out a couple of his videos, and in fact, he's done a video with Gregory Sadler, who some of you might know from his work with Marcus from the Metaphysics of MGTOW channel. And so, basically, to try to sum up his video, he's basically just giving the elevator pitch for Marxism and saying that, the real reason why men are sad is because capitalism. All right, I mean, that's simple. We're not going to get too in-depth into that. And, he's got some funny jokes about, him going in the room, crying himself to sleep and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's an entertaining video. You can check it out. He's got some other good jokes in there, too. But, really what I wanted to get to, I think this is kind of like, at least for me, the heart of what I was getting out of his video, is that, he's saying, okay, well, we all recognize there's a problem with men and, they're not doing so well. His position is that it's capitalism's fault. But, so he asks this question, what is the reason why we're making it a gender-specific argument? And see, this is what I don't understand kind of about dialectical Marxism, is because you talk about material conditions, and yet throughout this entire, 30 to 40 minute long video, he has not mentioned any of the biological aspects of human life. Not once. Not once has he actually admitted that men are physically stronger than women, biologically. Not once has he even alluded to the fact that possibly, at least there are studies, they may or may not be true, but at least there are studies indicating that men are smarter than women on average, please. And that he just doesn't have the prerequisite, or at least he's not displaying the prerequisite biological knowledge to understand the differences between men and women, and that they're not just social differences. They're not interchangeable. Men and women are not interchangeable. And in certain aspects of biology, it's plain and easy to see. Like when it comes to pregnancy, men and women are not interchangeable. And this is the basic reason why men and women interact to reproduce. There's been tons of societies, most of these like ancient societies that you guys romanticize, like the men literally didn't talk to women all day. They went off, they hunted, they didn't even interact with women except at dinner and festivals and things like that. And it's like women live their own lives away from men for the most part in like tribal life, and men live their lives away from women, and they only interacted when it was mating season or when it was the mating ritual, and it was specific, and it was something that was instituted by the entire tribe for the benefit of the entire tribe. The mating, the women weren't choosing their partners, men weren't choosing their partners. The tribe was choosing the partners for each other based on their characteristics and their psychological makeup and all these types of things. And then so there's a biological basis for why people really are bad at making decisions into who they are going to be romantically intimate with, because for so long in our evolution, it wasn't a decision that we made. It was a decision that was made by the tribe for the benefit of the tribe. So realistically, there's so many biological differences between men and women. Like, there are more biological differences between men and women than there are between the races. Like, there's more biological differences between a man and a woman in the way that their brain, specifically how their brain works, because men's brains work intrahemispheric. So the left side of your brain is more connected within itself than to the right side of your brain. But with women, their brain hemispheres are more interconnected. So the right side of their brain and the left side of their brain talk to each other at the same time, which is why people say that women are more emotional. Because the way that men's brain actually works, and this is neuroscience. This isn't. I'm not making this up. You can check Sam Harris for that. That basically the man's brain, one side of the hemisphere shuts down to reserve energy and then make the other side of the brain work better. So basically, your left side of your brain will switch on for logic and all that stuff, and then the right side will switch off to preserve energy and focus all the energy. And that's why they say men have a one-track mind, right? Because your brain switches from like logic to creativity. It doesn't, where women's brain is feeding constantly the logic and the creativity hemispheres at the same time. So their emotional responses are more physically, more biologically more connected to their brains or to their emotion. Their logic and their emotion are more connected, where a man can, compartmentalize his logic and his emotions. And so that's why people advocate that men make better leaders, because their brain can switch from the logic side to the emotion side. And I'm not saying it's all men, but like I said, check the neuroscience. I'm not making this up, right? And then when it comes to other aspects, it's like, the time aspect of women being pregnant and their vulnerability during the pregnancy is why men biologically are necessitated to defend women. Because if they don't, then the species will die. If a 9-month pregnant woman who can't basically walk, gather food for herself, right? And she's alone in the woods in a natural state, she needs someone else to help her. It might not be a man. It could be her mom. It could be her cousin. It could be, but she needs someone to help her. And the incentive for the biological father, out of all the people in society, to help this woman, he has the highest incentive for the most part. I'm not saying there aren't some bad guys out there that just see women as like vessels to use and do all this stuff to, but in general, you can look at the statistics. The safest place for children to be and women to be is in a home with the biological father of her children. It's just, I mean, you can say, oh, well, it's just a societal thing, but these things are built upon systems that have gone on for generations, and you can't just pull one of the tabs out like it's a Jenga tower, because eventually you keep pulling those tabs out and the tower's going to fall over. Like, maybe you can pull out one or pull out two and do this and adjust that, but eventually you keep pulling out enough Jenga pieces, especially out of the bottom part of the tower, which our biological material existence is the bottom of the Jenga tower, and you want to pull pieces out of that. You want to pull pieces out of the Jenga tower, keep pulling pieces out. Well, maybe we don't need this piece, and maybe we don't need that piece, and maybe we don't need this piece, and eventually the tower is just going to topple. And that's it. We can whinge about, which is better, capitalism versus communism. Yeah, that's my own. I got work stuff, but We can talk about capitalism or communism all day, but at the end of the day, if we don't exist, we're not having a discussion about anything. And if women are really going to like try to, you know, use their basically ability to reproduce to blackmail men into becoming Marxist capitalists, it's not going to happen. Like, are you serious? That's why I'm like, let TFM build the artificial womb. Just stop it. You guys see this stuff? These Marxists aren't going to stop. That's what I'm saying. Just let TFM build the artificial womb. That'll solve all the problems. That will solve all of these problems that they're talking about. I know. Conservatives are disgusted by that, but think about this: they would rather let the human race die than have you offend a woman. So yeah, I gotta do this work stuff real quick. But yeah, I mean, like I'm saying, I mean, I get it. I get their perspective. I get the Marxist perspective. It's like, okay, well, you know, you're forced to go to work and you're forced to do these things and you're forced to do this and that, and it's bad. But the problem is they talk about the material conditions and they never explain where all this magic money is going to come from and where all the products and services are going to come from when no one has to work, when everybody's equal, right? And it's the same thing here. He's trying to make it like it's funny, like, oh well, how is this a biological? How is capitalism a biological problem? How is capitalism a male problem? We're not talking about capitalism, bro. You can check my last video. This is not about capitalism. Like, seriously. It's like you guys are trying to kill everybody because we don't want to be Marxist. Okay. That's why I'm like, okay, we'll just, you know, I mean, I don't want there to be like any like civil problems. That's why I'm just trying to like, but it's like, come on, bro. Like you've got to bring some, if you're talking about material conditions, you've got to bring some biological evidence. You can't just say, oh, well, capitalism's hurting everybody. Bruh. Maybe you should go to therapy. Bro, if only we could all just pay for healthcare, then women would totally all get with 5'2" guys. Yeah, that's gonna solve the problem. You know, like it's not. It's actually gonna make it worse. It's gonna make it worse for men. So yeah, that's my video. You can check out his video. I mean, I know I sound like super sarcastic because I mean, someone that's talking about material conditions and they don't mention any biological facts in a 45-minute video. But you're talking about the material conditions. The material conditions. Yeah, okay. Okay. I gotta start doing stuff. So have a good day and peace.